Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's University Business web seminar entitled 5 Strategies to Support a Safe Return to Campus, which is brought to you by the generous support of our sponsor, Transact. Before we get started, I would just like to share just a few housekeeping items. For technical support, please use the chat panel, which you can find on the right side of your screen. Then select on my name, which is Stephen Blackburn, and type your message if you're having any technical issues. If you don't have computer speakers or if you prefer to listen privately, please feel free to dial the phone number and access code that I'll be posting in the chat window in a few moments. Today, we will also be welcoming any questions you have at the end of this web seminar with a Q&A session. To submit a question, please use the Q&A panel at the bottom right side of your screen and send your questions to all panelists, which is the default option. If any of you today can't see the chat or the Q&A panels, just look to the right side of your screen and click the expand triangle, which is directly in front of the panel name to make sure you have access to it. Also, one last thing I'd like to note, if you would like to access the web seminar today at a later time, everyone who is registered and who is attending today will receive an email with a link to the slide and an archive recording. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce all of you to our speakers today. First, we have John Diaz, who's the Vice President of Point of Sale Solutions at Transact. And also we have Kent Pollack, who serves as the Senior Director of Project Management, also over at Transact. Great to meet you and great to have you with us, guys.
Thank you.
Perfect. And you may now begin.
John, you're on mute.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks, Stephen, for the greeting and the welcome, and thanks everyone who's joined us here today. So we appreciate taking some time out of your day to attend this session and learn a little bit about some of the different things that Transact has worked with our clients on to support their reopening and opening back up for safe return to school. So we have many clients who have either already opened back up and they have all their students essentially back on campus in classes. We have some that partially have opened up and have a smaller portion. We have some that have opened up but closed back because of certain outbreaks and other things going on, and then we have others that have not opened it up at all yet. So both Kent and I will talk today a little bit about some of the different products and solutions that our clients have been using to support their returns to campus or that they're planning to use as they open back up. So I think we'll just go ahead and take it away here. And next slide, Steve. So the first thing I'm going to do is, quick introduction by myself. Again, I'm John Diaz. I'm the head of point of sale solutions here at Transact, and that includes not just point of sale registers, but also things like our mobile ordering solutions that have played a very, very big part in our clients' reopening for back to school. We've done a lot of different things, which we'll talk about here today, that go well beyond what we probably even originally envisioned for those products within that product suite. But a lot of our products are now in the cloud. And so we were able to leverage that technology to help folks open back up with a very low touch and easy deployment for back to school. So Kent, why don't you introduce yourself as well, please?
Hi, Kent Pollack, and thanks for participating today. I appreciate having the opportunity to be here. I've been with Transact for about 13 years, and I'm in the product management area. Previously, I oversaw all of our one-card type solutions, and now I work in innovation and advanced product design for new features coming down the road. And COVID certainly has been a challenging time for us, but I'm happy to say that we've been able to either minorly adapt or utilize products and features that we've had for this new use case. So we're excited to tell you about some of those things today. John?
Great, thanks, Kent. All right, Stephen. I think I'll just give a quick introduction to Transact for those of you who may not be familiar with us and everything that we've got in here. We actually have a very large portfolio and a large customer base, client base here that has a lot of different products that are in our portfolio that they use. So we actually have over 12 million students that get served throughout our different product lines through there. We've actually been around for quite a long time. Transact Campus Incorporated, you may not be completely familiar with us because that name is fairly new as a standalone entity, just a little bit over a year and a half. For a long time, we were part of Blackboard, and Blackboard had different divisions with their learning systems, and we were the Blackboard Transact division of Blackboard Incorporated. And before that, we were our standalone company before that as well. So, in any case, we've been around for 36 years. Lots of folks that have been with the company almost that entire time as well. So we've got a lot of industry knowledge. We have a lot of clients that former clients that actually work for us, and that's something that kind of I really enjoy about this company is that actually both of us were formerly involved in this product as working at universities and in this line of business. And so it's been a great journey, and we have a lot of other folks like that. We have $46 billion in transaction payments that get processed through our systems each year. It's just an incredible number, basically through our different ways of transacting transactions through the systems. And so it's amazing to see how that has grown over the years as we do things not just in the campus transaction system business, but also in the payments part and facilitating tuition payments and fees and those kind of things too. We have a lot of things going on in the contactless world, and I won't steal Kent's thunder here in terms of what we've done there, but through our partnerships with Apple and Google and the technology we've done there, we've done already over 15 million contactless mobile wallet transactions through our solutions, and it's growing. Those numbers are constantly growing, and as you can imagine, through this COVID and trying to be as touch-free and contactless as possible, it's a big part of that. We have about 1,300 clients that actually use our solutions, and again, some of them have maybe just our payment solutions, or maybe just our transaction solutions, or maybe just our point of sale solutions. We enable our clients to pick and choose what works best for them, and they can choose to use whichever components make the most sense for them. Credentials are a big part of our business. The physical ID card was certainly the way we did everything up until a few years ago, and now with the contactless capabilities that Kent will talk about, that's changing. That's shifted quite a bit, especially as students have not been able to return to campus, or they've been delayed returning to campus, but they want to have that credential that identifies them as a member of the higher education community. We have a lot of partners. We have a lot of great technology that we've developed ourselves in-house, but we really rely on our partners as well to work very closely with us to deliver the solutions that are needed to provide what you and your you need to provide services to your students. And so we'll talk about that through the presentation today. And then last thing is just payment plans. It's been a big part of our business, and it actually helps facilitate students getting to campus and be able to afford it, especially in these challenging times financially for a lot of folks. It has given a way for them to actually still be able to attend college and further their education. All right, next slide, please. And then in our portfolio, we have a lot of different components. So as you imagine, Transact really touches almost every aspect of campus life. So we have basically three main components that we have in terms of our product lines. In terms of privilege management, that might be what you think of as the traditional campus card system, but we'll talk about some specifics here in a second. Integrated payments, again, the tuition payment plans and those kind of things that come with it. And campus commerce, the different things that apply to facilitate that. Some of the inputs into that are obviously credentials. In the old days, again, a physical ID card, now become a mobile credential, whether that's on a phone or on a watch. Things like online photo submission, biometrics, just being able to manage the accounts remotely. All these kind of things have really played a big part in the strategies for clients reopening for back to school. Integrated devices we have quite a wide mix of things where we've actually designed purpose-built hardware for things that we need, where there wasn't another solution available in the marketplace. But thankfully these days a lot of things are already out there. So we work with a number of large providers, whether it's be an HP or an NCR in the POS world, or an ASA Abloy or Persona in the security world. Different companies that we've worked with very closely to deliver an integrated and seamless solution for our clients. When we talk about privilege management, a lot of people think of things that maybe that's a meal plan or it's access to a building, but there's a lot of things that surround it that involve things like event management. Attendance tracking is something that we've recently done a lot of work and had made a lot of success from our clients in that. Especially again as we're trying to maintain a contactless community. Security management, video surveillance, and new things like contact tracing, which Kent will go into some details about that here shortly. On the integrated payment side, everything from in-person payments, we do a lot of things with payment gateways for credit card processing or debit card processing, payment plans, bill presentment and payment, financial aid disbursements and other types of things like that are big in our portfolio as well. On the campus commerce side, point of sale, everything where you need to physically make a purchase on a campus, but a lot of those are now virtual today, and mobile ordering plays a big part of that. And we'll talk a bit about how that, the details of how that's been deployed during this special period. So, all right, next slide, please. And then just the last slide on kind of the introduction here, just really showing a visual here of how Transact and our solutions are used across an entire campus. So everything from the dining facilities to event management, whether that be gaining access to an athletic event or an event on campus, to the campus concessions, physical access to academic buildings and residence halls, access to the certain services in the bookstore, the credentials, the health center, the card office, the library, fill in the blank, fitness centers, all those things are things that we do. We also have an off-campus program that also facilitates, so especially in situations here where some of the on-campus facilities may not be open, that off-campus program allows schools to expand their offerings and allows students to use their meal plans or stored value accounts even in an off-campus situation if they choose. So again, won't go into all detail of all these different things, but there are lots of different solutions that can be used in these different areas. All right, next slide. So getting into the meat of our presentation here to, just basically talking about those strategies that can be used to support a safe return to campus. Again, a lot of that involves the contactless interactions, sort of a no-touch environment, and managing social distancing. So Kent and I will both talk about some different ways that Transact's technology can help facilitate those things. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Kent. I think you're on mute now this time.
I did the same thing. So we mentioned in the title of this presentation, 5 strategies. So this is our first one. And the first strategy is really to make secure cashless payments, and contactless payments widely available across all of campus. And we're going to walk through a few of those, but it's more than just in person. It's also, social distancing is serving people where they are in many cases. So next slide, please. So the first thing I wanted to talk about with contactless or with social distancing is contactless credentials. Contactless credentials have been around for a while, although we have many campuses that still use magstripe. And one of the things historically we've noticed is that contactless transactions really increase throughput, thereby minimizing lines. So you have people that can be spaced out further and that aren't in close proximity for as long a period of time when you implement contactless credentials for all use cases, including retail, dining, door access, event access, etc. As I mentioned, contactless credentials aren't exactly new. We've been deploying across many campuses NFC and older Prox type-based contactless credentials for some time. Of course, our newest offering is Transact Mobile Credential in the Apple Wallet and GPay Wallet that I'll be talking about here in a few more minutes. But I think that the critical thing here is to indicate that no more handing a credential as a touch point off to a cashier or to an attendant, but rather having the student retain control of their credential and a faster transaction. Next slide, please. Stephen, there you go. So in addition to serving those in-person transactions with contactless credentials, you may want to move to serving the students or other constituents where they are. So, offering an online storefront, such as through our eMarket product, campuses can really kind of quickly and easily establish mini online markets or storefronts that offer a variety of products for sale, including lab equipment or workout clothes, spirit gear, jerseys, anything that you can think of that you want to sell, and add photos and descriptions. But the nice thing about that is, as these e-market storefronts can be deployed easily by the campus and kind of almost on the fly, we offer all of the built-in payment methods that include, international payment methods, ACH, credit debit cards, as well as the campus closed loop stored value account linked to their ID card. So another way to get those folks out of an in-person environment and serving the students and others where they are. Next slide, please. So in addition to these day-to-day and in-person transactions and the other auxiliary type functions that are needed, we kind of also have to think about, the schools in today's environment being able to conduct official business and what I call the getting started part of, viewing your bill and making tuition and fee payments and being able to schedule payment plans and so forth. And today we offer a mobile responsive, completely online cloud-based solution that allows for our institutions, campuses and colleges and universities to present those bills deeply integrated into their other ERP and financial systems and real-time information so that students and their parents can actually see what do they owe, when do they owe it, what are the payment plans that are available to them, how they can stretch those out, what are the payment options for that. If they have additional funds coming back from financial aid refunds and other types of refunds, getting those automatically transferred without having any paper checks or in-person visits to worry about, and just automating those procedures. SmartPay is another part of this product that, while certainly integrated into bill presentment and payment and as a tender option, can also be integrated into existing campus products where you may have your own storefront or tuition and fee solution where you just need a payment method or technology to plug in and be able to accept credit and debit cards and other types of tenders. So we're really excited about this product and the improvements we've made dramatically over the last few years as we've modernized and become mobile responsive, and the reviews are just over the top for how helpful this is for the students and for the university personnel in working with the students. Next slide, please. So we've been focusing on university constituents such as students and their parents or those that interact from that perspective. But we also need to realize that many institutions have moved to a fully remote work situation. And so they have to have contingencies in place that their staff and administrators can provide the same or better level of service to students and others. And so our resource center, or customer research center, as the back office part of our payment solution, provides for a lot of options for the staff to work really from anywhere. If they need to be working from home or need to be in a more secure and socially distanced office, they can modify demographic information, view the customer's balance and details, set up and view and modify and verify e-refund information, as well as view the e-bills and 1098-T statements. In addition to that, in assisting to students, when a student or parent calls in, our software allows for the administrator to emulate the person that's calling in their account so they can view exactly what the student is seeing without having to ask for the student's password. So they can see exactly what's on the screen for them, how it's being presented, and walk them through any steps they need to make or help troubleshoot and make that permission if that's set up for the payment, if that permission is set up for the operator. And we also allow parents to have access to students' account through a parent PIN function. And that will enable SMS payment reminders and other types of reminders so nothing falls through the cracks in this time where a lot of people are just worried about what's coming tomorrow and having to worry about setting payment plans and are those payments made on time, and automating those just takes one less stressor out of the day-to-day life. Next slide, please. And this is going to be John talking about our mobile solutions. Unmute.
So the second strategy we want to talk about here today was our mobile solutions, and again, how we facilitate the contactless transactions across campus. So, all right, next slide, please. So mobile ordering was something that we had launched our own solution just about 2 years ago. And the initial uses of it were largely in dining services for food ordering, and largely as a point of convenience. It was, that's something that was nice to have on the systems and nice solutions. Students obviously like it. They've grown familiar with it with other operations across, outside of campus. But it wasn't something schools had to have. It did help, and it helped facilitate that. Roll forward to March of this year, and all of a sudden it became an absolute necessity for our clients. And it's been a real help to them that those that already had it deployed, but those who did not have it deployed, it actually was something they were able to get up and going quickly, especially if they already had our point of sale solutions. They already had menus built and those kind of things. But one of the things that's different about our solution for mobile ordering is, again, it's not just for food. It can absolutely be used in other areas of campus. So whether that's for, registering for events on campus, now that we've got, social distancing situations on campus that we need to enforce, allowing folks to be able to do scheduled deliveries or pickups and do things along those lines. It absolutely helped facilitate that social distancing aspect. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. But one of the other things clients really told us they wanted to have about their mobile ordering solutions, they wanted to be able to be their solution for their own campus. They wanted to be able to reinforce the campus brand, have it be branded for the school, not branded for Transact. So even though the display on the screen right now shows Transact, normally that would be your school logo, your school colors, the locations that are in campus. Transact really takes a back seat in terms of the mobile ordering solution. It is the campus's solution. And that's one of the things schools really, really like about it, is that they can do whatever they want with it. We're there to help assist. We're there to help them get it set up initially. We're there to help them if they have questions along the way. But they really manage the entire solution end to end. There's also loyalty and incentive components that are built into it, so that if you want to incentivize certain behaviors or certain things that happen on campus, whether it's you attend so many, you make so many purchases, you get a discount, or you attend so many events on campus and you get some kind of recognition for that. Those are all things you can choose to set up on your campus. So whatever behavior you're trying to incentivize on your campus, you can use this as a tool to help you do that. Getting feedback, and the feedback being something that your group can actually act upon versus it being something that publishes out to Yelp or some other thing. It brings the feedback back to you in a nice consensus manner and in the types of questions and things that you want to know. And again, don't be just thinking about food. You can certainly think about how this could work in other areas of your campus. Long story short, it does help facilitate student satisfaction, shortening lines, and drive student engagement for different things. The last thing I would say is, again, if you have this as either a standalone product, that's fine. You can do that. You can set up all your items and whatever you're trying to sell in the application itself. But to make it even more powerful, you can actually integrate it with your point of sale system, especially if that's Transact Cloud POS. And that allows you to use the exact same items that you're selling in each of your locations and publish them to the mobile app. And if you change a price in one place, it changes on a register, a kiosk, or in the mobile app. It also allows that when those sales come in, it actually centralizes those all into one system. So you have the same reporting capabilities from a mobile order as you would have from a register or a kiosk device. And it allows you just to manage that and simplify it. And again, it makes life so much easier to do that. In our schools, especially as they were reopening back to school from COVID, having this in place was a valuable tool to them to be able to do that. And if they already had kitchen displays and kitchen printers in place for kiosks or point of sale devices, they're able to leverage that exact same hardware and put it back out there and just post their mobile order to those locations. And so again, just streamlined that and made their reopening so much easier for back to school. So next slide, please. On the campus access rights, we have a number of different solutions in there that allow you to manage entrance to facilities, events, check to make sure somebody's eligible to be in a certain location. Maybe somebody's, make sure somebody's had a COVID test if that's a requirement on your campus. So one of the solutions we do have with that, and that's actually shown on the screen, is what we call our iValidate solution. It's a very simple iOS bring your own device solution. You can do just activity and event transactions on it. You could actually do board plan transactions. You could do stored value. cash equivalency, all those kind of things are things that you can set up. But what it does, it allows you to take that, your point of sale or your event readers and event activities anywhere you need to go on your campus. It can be Wi-Fi, it can be cellular, and with combining that with our NFC technology, it allows you to actually do that in contactless. So as Ken was talking about, whether we have the Apple Wallet or the Google Pay, basically allows us to use these functions with a mobile device. So again, if maybe somebody hasn't even stepped foot on campus yet to get an ID card, or the school's chosen not to issue ID cards this year, they can use this type of technology to validate that someone, again, is eligible for a board event meal, access to an event, or that they're in an area on campus that they should be there. The other things you can do with these things are use them in online or offline mode. Even if you need to maybe spin up a food truck because your dining facility is closed and you need to be able to run transactions quickly in a location where you normally would not have power or not have data lines there. These kind of technologies with again, our iValidate product or some of our other mobile technologies such as iCell, you can use this to actually process those transactions without having to physically run cables and put a full-blown POS device out there. All right, next slide. One of the things that was really born out of the COVID crisis, basically, were some additional capabilities to our mobile solutions that we had some pieces of these things, but we had not envisioned the level at which they would be used to help schools reopen. And working with our clients in a very, very short time period, we were able to deliver a number of different capabilities based on what they told us. And that's something Transact does a lot. We work with our clients, and we like to think that we can come up with a lot of great ideas ourselves, and we do, but our clients are really where those ideas come from and bring them to life in many cases. And so we were able to leverage our mobile ordering platform that already existed, but again, was primarily used for food ordering. We had some clients use it for textbook reservations and some things like that. But it really allowed us to take that and leverage that technology to do things like limit the number of folks that could come into a dining facility. So we know a lot of facilities have reduced capacity due to COVID restrictions, and that can vary by state, it can vary by location. And so adding that capacity control to the solution, we were able to track that and say, okay, let's set it up so folks can do reservations. And they can say, okay, I'll come to the dining hall at 12:15, and you can set a 30-minute time limit on that. And they'll get a reminder at 30 minutes after that and say, okay, your time's up. Please, leave so we can make space for the next group to come in. And so our clients have used this very heavily to allow them to be able to manage the facilities and make sure they don't go over those capacity limits that have been set by the local jurisdiction or the states. Setting that window of when they want to arrive and when they can do it has been great. They've been able to go in and set that. In some cases, they may want to be able to change it. We've done some special things with board plans to make sure that people can't use them multiple times, but they can set their time when they want to be able to use that. We also have things that can keep track of how many people are physically in there. So when they check in and they can check out, so you use a barcode scanner to set those kind of things to manage that, so you actually know at all times how many people are in your facilities. The capacity limits, are really endless. Again, talk a lot about dining and one of the primary uses of it, but these can be used all across campus. We've got clients use them for the student medical facility, the recreational center, making reservations for, again, textbook pickup and those kind of things. So really the sky is the limit on this. And it's one of those big things to think about is where else could you use this on campus? And the great thing is, once you have this deployed for one location on campus, you now have what you need in place to deploy it pretty much anywhere on campus that you'd like to use it. So it's a very, very useful tool and something that has been a big help for our clients in their strategy of reopening and bringing students back to campus. All right, next slide, please.
All right, my turn. So the third strategy here is really transitioning to a virtual or hybrid orientation. We know many clients have done that this year, but maybe they're looking for ways to improve on that and iterate for the next, for the spring and following summer orientations on a go-forward basis. And in fact, what we're hearing back from many of our campuses today is that they're rethinking in-person orientation entirely, where they can do things mostly virtual in the future. Next slide, please. So one of the key things for orientation in the past has really been around getting that ID card and becoming, that official on-campus or remote student that has that relationship. And so in days of past, students would show up and they would come in groups or at designated times in an orientation program and stand in line and get a photo snapped and get an ID card printed. And that's been slowly evolving with online photo submissions, certainly not a new product, but we've seen a huge increase in interest and in campuses actually using online photo submission this past year. And what this means is that campuses can send out a request to expected new students, those that have been admitted, to submit their photo in advance and go through an approval process that may or may not include their upload of government issued ID or passport or other items to document and find out, make sure that the people they are who they are, say they are, but to get that photo in advance and not have those students come and wait in line sometimes, in the heat of the summer. So one of those benefits certainly is, now we've eliminated that close-in proximity of lines. So we've helped with social distancing. But from a student satisfaction perspective, they now get a photo that they're happy with, that they're going to live with on their credential for quite some period of time. And you've taken out or reduced dramatically the amount of time that staff may need to actually capture those photos. So certainly we feel like this is a great benefit being added to the portfolio as you work toward virtual or online orientations. So next slide, please. So in conjunction with the online photo submission, students still need an ID card. And so there are some ways you can do that. Certainly you can batch print ID cards from the photo that was submitted online and then have an option where they can pick those ID cards up in an office or mail them out if you choose to do that. Both of those present some issues related to, postage and additional cost and contacting with the cards and the mail and so forth. And then pickup now has people coming into the office and maybe waiting in line to get their ID card when campus classes start back. So an alternative to that is the mobile credential. And Transact is proud to have innovated a new solution back in 2018 as the first provider of a campus ID in the Apple Wallet. And then, of course, again earlier this year, many of you may have seen the press releases and announcements that now we're the only provider in the world that can offer a campus ID in the Apple Wallet as well as also in the GPay wallet. And this credential really works like any other credential you provided before, meaning that the student or faculty, staff, or other constituents simply tap the phone or their watch, whichever is against a reader using NFC technology, contactless technology, just as they would an ID card. And it should work everywhere for dining and point of sale and laundry, and copy and door access, wherever somebody needed to present an ID in the past to verify their relationship to receive a good or service. They certainly can do that with the mobile credential now. But the difference is that the student doesn't come to an office to get an ID. They log in using their campus, username and password and multi-factor authentication for security, and they're able to download, if you permit that person, their credential and add it to their wallet. So the provisioning works similar to provisioning of a card. You say this person gets a credential and how long the credential may be good for and those types of things. But an added benefit of a mobile credential, in addition to just the students somewhat expecting that and higher student satisfaction, is that you can manage credentials better. So take, for instance, perhaps that somebody has ended their relationship with your institution, and maybe it wasn't on the best of terms. Maybe there was a disciplinary issue or some other reason, and you don't want that person to represent themselves having a relationship any longer. But in the past, that person continued to carry around a card. And while it may not work electronically for goods and services to be validated, it certainly shows a visual representation. Whereas with a mobile credential, we can actually remove it from their electronic wallet remotely, and thereby ensuring that the relationship is no longer misrepresented. In addition to that, you can change backgrounds. So say you have a 75th or 100th anniversary of the institution, and you want the credential to have a new type of logo or seal or background, you can simply update that and push it out, and everybody's ID card gets updated. Or say that a person changes their name, perhaps through marriage or some other reason, a name is changed. Simply update it in the system. It will flow through and automatically update to the credential, and no need to reprint credentials or have someone come into the office to verify that. So from a social distancing perspective and reducing lines and increasing student satisfaction, this has just been a home run hit for all of our clients that have adopted the mobile credential feature set. Next slide, please. So the other, and I think kind of the trifecta of this, including the online photo submission and mobile credential, is really the online card office, or what I like to call online card office. So we've had a product in the field for several years called eAccounts, and this really lets students and others access information to see their current account balances, what meal plans they have, what their transaction history is. They can make top-ups into their stored value accounts to add more money. They can automate those in scheduled payments, or set low balance alerts and have it automatically top up from a safe payment. So all of those things can be done through this eAccounts app, as well as marking a card lost or found. So even if they have mobile credential, they could go to the web app and log in and say, I've lost my credential and now it's temporarily suspended. So there's a lot of features within this. It also does include the ability for the online photo submission within the app. So tie this together, and really you've got a virtual card office that almost eliminates the need for in-person visits, with the exception of maybe some obscure troubleshooting issues from a card office. And I realize that from an orientation perspective, the card office is not the key item, but you put that together with other things we've talked about, such as the payment solution and setting up payment plans and tuition and fees and those things. Now, those are two major things that have taken care of. And most campuses that we've worked with have tied links together between our eAccounts and our payments to other resources, such as advisement resources and general campus websites for information. So this goes a long way in reducing the need for foot traffic and in-person visits in a secure and safe manner. Next slide, please. So one of the other things that and our fourth strategy is really, now more than ever, it's important to analyze and consolidate data and figure out what actions you need to take. And typically those actions mean an adjustment in a privilege or service. And so I want to talk about just a couple of those, if we'll extend to the next slide. So one of the key things about campus, and that we immediately heard from last March, and we were fortunate, we actually had our client user conference in March of last year, and it was one of the last really in-person attendance events that many of us attended. And at that time, our clients were, hearing from their universities that they were planning to shut down. So we had the opportunity to kind of huddle together and say, what are things that need to be done? And one top of mind was, how do I restrict in an easy to manage way access to facilities and other areas on our campus, and make sure that the right people get the right access, while we consider other factors that we previously had not considered. So some of these items, there's new policies that might require separating students in private rooms or changing standard residential plans. There may be temporary medical support facilities that spring up. Certainly over the summertime, we know a couple of campuses where they had allocated space for county and city facilities to be used for temporary medical facilities. So changing the access privileges for those. In addition, we may need to close a facility quickly if it's determined that somebody, there had been an infection in the area and they need to disinfect the facility. So how can you quickly lock it down based on what data? And our access control features within our product and with integrated access control partners allow us to easily modify and automate those types of things, so that whether it's a valid COVID test that's been submitted and someone is negative, and we set a flag that says now you get access, but not all the same access, or now you're restricted. Those are all valid things that the flexibility of our access control system, or many like that, is what our campuses need to look at to say what changed, and is my product or the applications that I'm using, can they facilitate those changes so that I can easily modify what I need to modify to control access to those facilities. Next slide, please. So in addition to that, we've been able to assist our clients, in contact tracing. And this really works best where credentials are used to access goods and services. So for instance, if an individual is suspected or confirmed to be infected, what tools do you really have in place to quickly contain the exposure? And once a COVID case is confirmed, acting quickly is really critical to identify the potential exposure and communicating the exposure risk to help reduce the spread. So what we were able to do with a contact tracing tool is that, if a campus has identified a person, while absolutely maintaining privacy of those individuals and respecting that privacy and anything that goes along with that, we're able to work with the campus to identify, using the technology, where folks have come into contact over what period of time. So for instance, if I had entered the rec center and then I went back to my room and maybe I stopped by a vending machine and purchased a soda and I wasn't feeling so well and I contacted the health center and it turns out maybe I have come back with a positive diagnosis, the institution can provide my internal person or customer number to the system, and we can provide a report of all of those individuals that have had contact in those areas where that person conducted a transaction in varying time periods. So for instance, maybe you're mostly interested in who entered a facility using the same door, or who purchased a transaction at the same time at a cash register within 1 minute of me, or within 3 minutes of me. And that helps you get to some information about where proximity happened and in what amount of time. And of course, we can grade those in various ways so that the campus can now pass it on to the folks that are responsible for the contact tracing to look and see, what are our highest priorities in notification, and where have people crossed paths, and are we seeing any trends? So this has been a valuable tool. It's actually really just repurposing and reformatting data that previously existed. And so our clients have been very happy with the way that this has allowed them to be more nimble and to react more quickly in an instance where someone has been identified. And I would state that while this kind of came to highlight or be highlighted during the COVID era, it also works for many other things. And so when you need to know who's been around someone for what period of time, the system certainly is capable of handling those situations. And so that's kind of the last part for me, and we're going to jump back to John for the next slide.
All right, thanks, Kent. That's good stuff there. So the last thing we wanted to talk about was the strategy that our clients are also leveraging. We know schools are struggling today with a lot of unknowns in terms of student enrollment and the financials. With a lot of schools, they've been counting on dining facility revenues and other things that happen while you're on campus. And with a lot of students not being on campus, it's putting stress on campuses, and so we understand that. But even outside of this time period, we've come up with some strategies to help and some tools to help schools deal with those short-term, financial challenges in terms of that. So on the next slide, we'll talk through a little bit about that and what that, what some things are that we offer here. So, some of the benefits, we have a program called Transact Capital. And it allows us to defer a good amount of the costs in terms of what you might need to spend to deploy a certain type of technology or outfit a facility with a new access control system or a new point of sale system or deploy a mobile credential infrastructure that is required for those kind of things. And we have a lot of different tools within this program that allow you to defer those costs where, in some sense, it could be a lease. It could be something where you pay a small amount monthly, and it can ramp up over time when things are hopefully returned back to a more stable, financial situation. There's situations where you decide whether you want to actually own the equipment at the end of the period. You can choose to have a refresh. We have lots of different ways that we can structure these things to make it easier for your campus to be able to deploy and be ready. So, again, we have a lot of schools that are either running at minimal or a minimal capacity compared to what they normally would. So they've got actually a good opportunity on campus right now to go ahead and start a project and do a deployment before they go back to full capacity. And so tools like this that we can offer within the financial packages allow you to potentially go ahead and get that project started, get it on the books, get it approved, go ahead and get started. And whether it's for reopening to full capacity back in, hopefully in the January time period, or it's maybe next spring or next summer, it allows you to basically get those projects kicked off and get them going, and allow you to spread out that cost over a certain period rather than having to have a larger lump sum that you might have to outlay at the beginning of the period. So again, just anything you can think of that you're that you might want to do to help facilitate the back to school, because again, a lot of things have changed from where we thought they were when we started this year and started last school year, and we know there are challenges out there. So again, Transact is here to help. We want to work with you to get creative in terms of how we can help your campus return to full operation and full capacity. So I think that's it on that slide. So wrapping things up, we talked about 5 different strategies here that Transact can help your campus with in terms of that. One of them is, again, making secure cashless contact payments widely available, absolutely facilitating the contactless strategy and the social distancing that we've got going on today. And mobile solutions play a big part of that, whether it's mobile ordering or it's mobile technology, mobile readers that can be used across the campus. You're transitioning to a virtual or hybrid orientation, as Ken was talking about, with the online photo submission. Again, we don't necessarily have to have folks come on campus and come stay in an office to get a picture taken, where it's great in terms of how those things have worked. The data analysis and the data that's captured here is helping making campuses safer with the contact tracing, and even beyond that, just the data that's captured by the systems is very valuable and can help you, again, tailor the operations across your campus and learn what do I need to do, because there will be a lot of changes that are coming in terms of how, let's say it's your dining operation, your bookstore, or other locations on campus operate going forward. And then again, we can help you with some different strategies in terms of dealing with, how am I going to get this new technology in place? I know I've got to do it because I've got to change how we've been doing business. And again, Transact is here to help you with that, and we'd love to work with you on that. So I think we're ready to take some questions here if there are any out there.
Yes, definitely. Well, first off, thank you very much, both of you, John and Kent, for your insights. We really do appreciate it. So as John was just saying, we do have some time for a Q&A now, where both John and Kent will answer any questions that you may have. So for those of you who have not yet submitted a question and would like to, please do so now by submitting your question in the Q&A panel, which should be located below the chat panel at the bottom of your screen. So with that, I would like to start by we have a question that came in here from someone who's from a community college. So they're asking what Transact's experience has been working with community colleges. Could either of you go into that in some detail?
We probably both could. I mean, we've got quite a few community colleges. I've worked personally with Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, Jones County. They're in Florida, here in Arizona. So our products certainly work very well in community colleges, and whether or not they're residential really doesn't matter from that perspective. John, you want to?
Yeah, I think that, like you said, Kent, our products are very adaptable to those. So whether it's a credential solution or it's a point of sale solution or the mobile ordering solution, community colleges can be different. Again, if it's a non-residential, operation, meal plans may not be as big of a deal, but the stored value portion of it can be very valuable. And again, the things that Kent talked about in terms of contact tracing, the more they can use that campus credential, the more you know about what's going on in your campus, and these tools will help you manage that and help you get through this situation.
Perfect. Thank you for that. We have another question. It's about contact tracing. So this one will probably go to Kent. But this person would like you to expand a little bit about how contact tracing can be used for off-campus activity. I know that you mentioned a lot about how this solution can be used for on-campus activities. But yeah, go ahead.
Certainly. So, and I saw a couple of questions. One, interested in learning about contactless tracing and if we do it, and then the other is it limited to what the student does on campus? And so, the facts for us are we can only report on the data that is fed to our system. So today, and that's why I initially indicated in the contactless tracing slide that we're doing, is that the more data we have, the better the information is. So for instance, if you have a fully deployed transaction system and you're using a Validate or mobile ordering as well, and you're using access control, or either our access control or a third party that feeds the access transactions to us, then we'll be able to know where those touch points were and where the overlap was. In some cases, we do have campuses where there are off-campus transactions. As I think John mentioned earlier with our Campus Cash off-campus merchants program. So we do know those transactions that occur. But you're accurate in stating that off-campus activity would not be included unless the campus had a way or through partnership or others to feed that information to us. Many times we are just a part of contact tracing, so we can provide a piece of it. Certainly there's usually a compliance or a health office or other on campus that kind of tie these pieces together. We also have a class attendance product where, if a campus is using that, then we know who was in class and who came in at what times. Here again, it's a fully deployed solution, but we do have the ability to accept data and analyze it from other systems if there are other systems that you have data available from. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much. And really quick, before I continue on with the next question, just would like everyone to know that you still have there is still time for you to submit a question if you would like to. Please look to the bottom right-hand side of your screen to insert your question, and we'll get back to you. So this next question should be for John. This is in regards to mobile credentialing. So this person asks, what is involved in deploying this solution on a campus? Could you walk us through that a little bit, John?
But for the mobile credentialing, I will actually defer to Kent because he is actually the true expert on that one. So I'll let him take it. Thank you.
Yeah, mobile credential. So quite a few things actually. As I mentioned, it's innovative, it's new, it is growing, it's growing rapidly. But there are a couple of things around mobile credentials. So actually provisioning the credential is fairly easy. We need you to have e-account service that we provide because the credential is issued over the air through e-accounts and tied securely to either Apple or Google and their systems. So the credential is just part of that, though. The other part is that you need to make sure that where you accept cards, that they can be accepted. So they have to be NFC capable readers that can understand, Apple speak or Google speak. So to kind of not put too fine a point on it. And so certainly we would meet with you and help you evaluate your campus and say, hey, these are all the reader locations that they're great. They can accept the credential, or maybe at a cash register, you'll have to swap out a USB reader to be able to read the credential. So the parts to it really are, the campus decides the design and things like that and manages that. Campus determines what we call credential values or card numbers. They're all standardized ISO numbers, so you set up pools that we pull from. It's really pretty simple from a student perspective. They download the eAccounts app. If you've allowed them to have a mobile credential, they'll be prompted right on the front page, add to Apple Wallet or add to GPay. They'll click a button, they'll accept some terms and conditions, and within about a minute, they'll have a credential that is in their wallet and ready for use. real time, and they should be able to go anywhere and do that. But as I indicated, there are back-end things to make sure that, for instance, if you have a third-party door access control system, that we are feeding that updated credential to that system so that by the time they get to a door, they can tap their phone or watch and that it will work. So it's really an evaluation, and we have teams and surveys and other things that are available to help you determine where you are today and what you need to do to get there to be able to provision a mobile credential. Any more question or detail needed about that?
No, I think we should be all set on that unless they submit their question, an additional one. But it looks like we are out of time here. So if you did end up submitting a question and we didn't get back to you, we'll get back to you on that as soon as possible following this web seminar. So with that, I just want to, thank you both, John and Kent, for sharing your insights on this really important conversation. We really do appreciate it. And of course, I would also like to thank our attendees for joining us today. For those who enjoyed our presentation, there are many more upcoming web seminars like this one that are provided by University Business, which is the leader in editorial coverage of news, trends, as well as current issues in higher education. At UB, our wide range of readers, they subscribe to all of our content for free and stay up to date with us through our print magazine, as well as the digital edition of that magazine, our e-newsletters, as well as web seminars like this one you just saw today. Also, for those of you who would like to watch this web seminar again, or maybe for those of you who believe that the solutions that Transact provided in this web seminar would be really helpful to your colleagues, you will be pleased to note that an archive recording of this web seminar will be available at the URL, which you can see on your screen here. You can also expect to receive an email from our team here at UB at some point tomorrow, which will include a link to all of the slides that you saw here today. So with that, on behalf of University Business, this is Stephen Blackburn. Thanks everyone, and have a great rest of your school year and be safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.